All right, if you're a regular viewer, you know I've caught flounder on 5 of my last 5 trips. 5 trips in a row. I'm out today to see if I can make it 6. Got a beautiful summer morning here in the marshes of South Louisiana. Let's see if we can make it happen. All right, there's one thing I know about flounder. They like a lot of tail action. People who target them typically use curly tails, but I know this matrix shad has a ton of tail action. This is the green hornet color. I got that on a 1/4 ounce death grip jig head. I'm fishing an area with some absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous water. I'm at the bottom of a falling tide. You can see all this exposed marsh here. It's still falling, but it won't be falling much longer. And I seldom target flounder, but I do know there's 2 situations they really like. They like ledge walls, and they also like lake. Oh goodness, there's a fish. What is that? Is that our flounder? Come on, be a flounder. It is a flounder. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Stay in the boat. All right, we got him. What are the chances? We got another flounder. I'm telling you, that was my 2nd cast. That's hard to believe. I gotta get a picture of this. All right, great start to the day. I don't know what is going on with the flounder. If you saw, I did a recent video discussing flounder numbers. They're definitely coming back, but they're not to the level that they were historically in Louisiana. That's just crazy. I think it was my 2nd cast, and I already checked flounder off the list. 6 trips in a row. That streak will eventually die, of course, but I'm loving it while it's running. But I was saying flounder like ledge walls. It's where I catch a lot of them, where deep water rises into shallow water. And they also like lake shorelines right up against the edge. And they definitely like pretty water. And I've been finding some really good water lately, and that I think is a big part of why I've been catching all these flounder. That was truly one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me on the water. I know in some states you can actually target flounder, you get enough of them. But we don't in Louisiana. They're just an incidental catch. You catch them when you're targeting reds or speckled trout, and you're always glad to catch them. But to come out here targeting flounder and catch one on the 2nd cast, that's pretty crazy. Man, it is a beautiful morning in a beautiful marsh, obviously. A little bit of a wind out the west, not much. It's under 5 for sure. Just enough to keep it from getting too hot. Oh, there's a fish. Oh, it could be another flounder. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's a cat. Look at that, a freshwater catfish. I knew it wasn't a trout. File hooked freshwater cat. These guys are really, really good to eat, so I'm gonna keep him. Well, we're starting the day off with a variety pack. Hopefully we can get some other species as well. Lots of grass in this area. Grass has really come back very, very well. Okay, our falling tide has 100% quit. It's just absolutely dead. I could probably sit and wait in here for it to start rising, but I think I'm gonna make a little run and go try and find some rising water. All right, I've come to this line of rocks here in the Mississippi River Gulf outlet. See if we can catch some reds, bass, maybe a trout or 2, maybe a flounder. I'm throwing this Lil Zip. This is a Z's tackle product. I got a 4/0 extra wide gap hook on this. Really not the ideal hook for this, kind of a slight bait for that, but it's what I've got. And I also have 2 split shot above it, just to give it a little bit of weight, so it's not just hanging on the surface. I'm gonna throw it right up on the rocks and just twitch it. All right, just got a hit. That's good. There he is. Oh shoot, I missed him. What was that? Man, he took my whole bait. All right, good sign. That fish hit me twice. he was on there, and he spit it, and he came back and got it again. He must have spit it again, though. When I set the hook, there was nothing there. Fishing this way, you generally don't feel the hits. They just kind of load up. In the summertime, the bass used to get along these rocks in absolutely crazy numbers. They weren't big fish at all. If you caught a 1 pounder, it was a nice one. But the bass in this area have been walloped by saltwater. Just not near the population that we once had. And over the years, believe it or not, I've caught plenty flounder along these rocks doing this exact pattern. It's certainly a possibility we get another one. Oh, another hit. Did you take my bait? You did not. I appreciate that, but I wish I'd hooked you. Oh, he ripped the rod out of my hands. What in the world was that? How did I miss him? All right, 3 hits, nothing to show for it. He was out from the rocks. No telling what that was. I mean, just as close as we are to the rocks here, it's 9 feet deep. Like, it's deep close to these rocks. Now, you do have areas where it's more shallow. Sometimes the fishing's better where it's deep close to the rocks, and sometimes it's better on the big flats. You gotta figure it out each day. There's one. Redfish? I think red. Oh, yep, redfish. Yep. See, on the travel team or the tag team? Oh, I don't know. I was thinking tag team, but now thinking maybe travel team. Oh yeah, he's on the travel team. There we go. All right. Beautiful redfish on the lil zip. Man, look at the spots on him. 4 on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. All right. I'm gonna measure him, but I think he's about 19 inches. We'll see. Yep, he's exactly 19 inches. Well, that fish claimed one of my split shots. That's okay, I got more. I do kind of keep my split shots a little bit loose. I don't like to crimp that line really hard. Yeah, once again, that fish I did not feel hit. He was just loaded up on it. When you're fishing this way, if you feel any resistance at all, you gotta set the hook. Sometimes it's a rock. You know, you get pinched between 2 rocks and you'll get snagged when you set the hook, but you just gotta take that chance. And accurate casts are super important. You gotta throw right adjacent to the rocks. Generally, the fish are gonna be in the first maybe 5 feet of your cast. After that, you're fishing deep water with no rocks, or few rocks, and you're much less likely to get bit. That's why I really like doing this with casting gear rather than spinning gear, so I can throw right up to the edge of those rocks and stop my bait. Of course, you sacrifice a little bit of distance, but I don't really care. I'm plenty close enough to be able to reach the rocks. See, there we go. Found a rock. I felt that resistance, set the hook, and sadly, it was not a fish. And really the problem is you got to be very careful going in there to get your bait. The water is really clean today, so I can see rocks under the water, but sometimes you can't. You get in real trouble, particularly on a windy day. Ah, we're gonna lose this one. That's unfortunate. Well, fortunately we saved the leader. Just gotta tie on another hook, a couple split shots. We'll be back in business. All right, comes a big boat barreling down this channel. Look at the wake he is throwing. That's gonna mess us up for a minute. One thing I definitely don't want is to be close to those rocks when that wake hits, so we're gonna go out and greet it. Okay, look at this mud that has come off this bank from the passage of that boat. Nasty wake that close to the shoreline. It may have just destroyed our bite. That's where we're catching the fish. I don't know if you can see that, but it's absolute filth now right along those rocks. Really unfortunate timing. We'll give it about 10 minutes and see if it clears up. If that tide pulls it out. If not, we're gonna have to move on. Make a few casts with this ATV crankbait. At least they'll have something to kind of dial into with their lateral lines. Not depend on their eyes. That water's filth now. Oh, goodness, already. Oh, nice bass. All right, he was out a little bit, out of the filth. Continuing with the theme today, variety pack. These things used to be really, really thick along these rocks. Not anymore, as I mentioned, but I'm glad to have this one. On the Bill Lewis ATV, this is the 1.0, dives maybe a foot or so, doesn't dive much. I don't want something that dives much with these rocks. Oh, I got another hit. There we go. All right, I missed him. It was a good hit. See, now we've come to a pocket. I generally don't like those as much, not in the summertime. Water's shallower out here. You know it's gonna be a little bit warmer. Those fish are gonna be closer to that current, more on the points, on the parts of the MRGO that stick out. But we're gonna try it. I've definitely found them to be really productive. Mostly on a cloudy day or right after a rain. Water temp in here is 83 degrees. Pretty warm. Oh, I missed him. Another hit. He hit me close to the boat. Both the bass, I think it was a bass. And both the bass hits have been closer to the boat. Probably the fish have pulled out a little bit from that filth that's now right along the shoreline. See all these mullet gulping air on the surface? Definitely a good sign. I mean, those are big mullet, obviously, but where they're a big mullet, they're also small mullet. Lots for these fish to eat along these rocks. Oh, there we go. Oh, nice bass. Stay hooked up, dude. Stay hooked up. Come on. All right, real good bass. On the little zip, he hit me right when it hit the water. I kind of gave him a minute. I mean, that's a good sized bass for the rocks, for sure. All right, when we got here, the tide was still falling, but it's Abraham Lincoln dead now. Dead, dead. It's a big range today, so when it starts rising, it's gonna scream in, for sure, because it's pretty far out. Sometimes these rocks are better on a rise, sometimes better on a fall. You kind of just don't know. I'm optimistic if this tide moves again that they're gonna bite. But you know, that tide in this marsh is just so critical, so important. You know, if you're fishing an inland lake, obviously it's not that big of a deal. Sometimes you get some wind-blown current, or if it's an impoundment, you know, if they open up the dam, let some water out, and those fish will go crazy. But these fish are used to feeding every day on the movement of the tides. And when the tide goes flat and doesn't budge, they don't eat. They just wait. It's pointless to expend a bunch of energy going to chase bait when you can kind of just wait and let nature push the bait by you. So they kind of go into a little bit of a dormant phase. Like you can put a bait right in front of them and they're not going to hit it. They're just not even paying attention. Almost like they're sleeping. So it's 10 a.m., a little early to eat lunch, but I might as well do it just to kill some time. So I'm gonna grab a bite to eat. Hopefully by the time I'm done, this tide will be rising and these fish will be feeding. It'll be like 30 minutes, but to you, it'll seem a snap. Back in a second. All right, tasty lunch. It's now 10:34, and I've threaded a Zimmer swimmer on my same rig. 2 split shots, 4/0 extra wide gap hook. The color on that Zimmer swimmer is Candy Bug. Just wanna see if they'll hit this. Without question, this bait feels a lot different. Much more resistance than that Lil Zip. Much easier to cast, of course. It's a beefier, weightier bait. Our tide still isn't doing a whole lot. All right, unfortunately, this tide is being really stubborn. It won't start rising for some reason. It's taking forever. So I think I'm gonna make a little run. I mean, the action here just completely died, which you would expect. Make a little run just to cool off, if nothing else. Go see what else I can find. Probably will come back here once the tide starts rolling in. So I think there are a lot. Oh, I missed him. Of course. Good hit, just as I'm about to leave. Well, now I gotta make a couple more casts, but I've made a lot of casts without bites. And I think once this tide starts rising, these fish will bite along these rocks. Don't know that I'll be able to find anything else, but it'll feel good to run for a little bit because, whew, it is hot today. It's gotta be low 90s. And we do have that light west wind, but it's not blowing hard at all. It's really warm. All right, I'm on the marsh side of the MRGO. Water is absolutely gorgeous over here. Doesn't appear to be doing much of anything as far as moving. But I'm gonna throw this depth strike, just kind of work this shoreline here, the mouths of all these cuts, trying to run across some reds and straggler trout. I'll probably mix in a bunch of casts with that matrix shad. You gotta figure reds will run along this drop off out into the MRGO, particularly with this water being this low. Oh, we will see. Kind of one of those things where I'm just hunting for fish. High risk, high reward. The risk is, you know, you waste some time. The reward is you discover a new pattern. Got some grass in the area. That's good to see. Oh, there we go. What is that? He does not feel too big. Whatever he is. Staying down though. Might be a flounder. Might be a flounder. Oh, now he's feeling a little bigger. Oh no. It's a hardhead. Well, that's not what we wanted. That's disappointing. All right, nothing on the shoreline, so I'm gonna duck into one of these cuts, see if I can get some bites here. The tide mercifully has begun to rise. There we go. There's a fish. Oh, I don't know. Not even guessing. Speckled trout. Not a keeper. But man, that makes what? 5th species we've caught today? Is that right? I think 5th. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Look how spotted this guy is. Man, you're gonna be pretty when you grow up, dude. You know, there are certain dishes that are better in winter, like soups and stews, stuff like that, and other dishes that are a lot better in summer that kind of take advantage of the fruit of the season. I'm gonna put one of those together today, and let me show you what ingredients it requires. All right, first off, you need a mango. You know, it's mango season. This is when they're ripe and taste best. I usually buy them in a 6-pack and eat them over like 6 days. Like, eat one a day. They're just fantastic. Love mangoes. Need a little bit of red bell pepper. Need some cilantro, lime, jalapeno, a red onion, some sour cream, some mayo, and some tortillas. Other than that, of course, you need some fish, which we just caught. We're gonna be putting those into this recipe. Also, you need some salt and pepper, a few other ingredients, but definitely stuff that you have in your pantry. All right, let's get started. All right, first off, we've got to peel this mango, and this is actually a really ripe one. It's gonna be good, so it's gonna be a little bit tougher to peel. You know, mango's kind of one of those fruits that is just kind of weird. It's really, they're not easy to peel, they're not easy to cut. Yeah, this one's really, really tough to peel. It's a little bit overripe, but it'll be tasty. I just use a traditional vegetable peeler. And it works pretty well. All right, there we go. We've got our mango peeled and ready to slice. All right, now we're left with just the seed of the mango. Again, kind of a weird fruit, kind of hard to cut, hard to peel, but well worth the effort. I don't know how much of this I'm gonna need. I'm just gonna cut it up and see how it feels. And if you can cut up a mango for this dish and not sample it, you're a stronger man than me. That's a good one. That is a good mango. All right, I got about that much cut up, which I'd say is roughly about half the mango. Maybe not quite. I'm gonna reserve the right to add some more though. But for right now, I'm gonna put this in the fridge, let it get cold. So you may have surmised I'm making kind of a creamy mango salsa. Something I've never made before, but I'm very, very confident it'll work. Very confident it'll work, because all the ingredients are great. All right, so first off, we're gonna add some mayo. That's probably about half a cup or so. And then we're gonna add about equal amounts of sour cream. All right, about half cup of sour cream. And to that, we're gonna add some salt and pepper. And stir that up. All right, that's the base of our cream salsa. Go ahead and add our chopped mango to that. Next up, we're gonna do the jalapeno. Now, if you like spicy food, go ahead and chop this jalapeno up and add it. I don't like spicy food, but I do like just a tiny amount of heat, and I really love the flavor of jalapeno. So what I do is take out the pulp and the seeds, and that really cuts down a lot on the spice. Now I am gonna add the whole jalapeno, other than the pulp and the seeds, of course, because I wanna kind of counterbalance that mango with the flavor and a little bit of heat of this jalapeno. All right, we'll mix that in with our mango. Next up is the onion. I suspect I'll probably use about half of this onion. You know, red onions are really good raw, and they also add a lot of color to the dish, just kind of visually appealing. All right, now looking at it, I think half this onion may be a little much. I'm gonna add about half of that, so it's gonna be about a quarter of this onion. Again, I'll reserve the right to add more later if I need it. Brush that to the side. All right, next up, my favorite herb, cilantro. I love cilantro. Use it a lot, particularly this time of year, but really all times of year. I just love cilantro. It tastes so good. Makes everything better. Chop that up, throw that in there, and we're almost done making our salsa. This isn't a difficult dish at all. Quite easy, in fact. Chop up this red bell pepper. I'll add that in. All right, and lastly, we're gonna throw in the juice of about half a lime. The acid in there, again, kind of plays well with the sweetness of the mango. Good counterbalance. All right, we'll mix that all together. All right, that looks very cool and summery. That's gonna be great. I'm so confident I'm not even gonna taste it now. I'm gonna wait and taste it on the fish tacos. Man, does that look good. But you know what? I'm gonna store this in the fridge just so it gets or stays nice and cool. All right, we caught a variety of fish. Now, the redfish, I sliced up into taco-sized pieces. You don't have like a big old giant redfish fillet, of course. So I did cut some of these up a little bit. We're gonna get to sample a wide variety of fish. But I mean, I know from past history, all of these are really, really good to eat. I'm just gonna sprinkle them with a little bit of this Louisiana fish fry Cajun seasoning. All right, there we go. All right, as you can tell, I got my cast iron skillet nice and hot. I've had that rolling the whole time we were making that salsa. I'm gonna go ahead and add some tallow to our pan. So we're gonna sear our fish in. All right, let's check our sear. All right, looks really good. All right, I got a couple of tortilla shells ready. Here's how we're gonna assemble our tacos. Pretty straightforward. Add some fish. And then add some of this creamy mango salsa. How could that not be good, right? I do have some more fish going that I gotta keep an eye on. So I'm gonna go ahead and sample these right here. All right, time for the taste test. Oh my goodness. That is literally 5,000 times better than I expected. And I expected it to be good. This is freaking phenomenal. If I got this in a restaurant, I would go kiss the chef. I'm not even joking. It is that good. Wow. Just a perfect balance of flavors. I'm kind of a bit in awe. It's that good. Wow. It's the best thing I've made in a while. All right, I gotta take another bite, so I gotta close out this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Also, of course, please subscribe to the Marshman Masso channel on YouTube. You know how to do that. Got lots of fun videos planned for the rest of summer, and definitely some of them will take place in my kitchen, or at least some portion of them will take place in my kitchen. Because I just love to cook. I love to put to use what we're so richly blessed with here in South Louisiana. Just my favorite thing to do. All right, till next time, if we don't see you in the marsh, we'll see you right here on Marshman Masso.